So good morning. We are the day before Rosh Hashana. It's so interesting when it comes to the new year, which this year will be 5784. Don't forget that. When it comes to the new year, there's always this question: what am I supposed to do? Should I break out the champagne and celebrate? Should I, as some people say, be in a state of sorrow, reflective? What is this all about? So Rosh Hashanah is our opportunity to coronate God as king. There is no king without subjects. And we have an opportunity to say to the king, we are your subjects. In that process of coronating God, there are other steps and other elements to it. One of them is this ability that we have to look at our lives, focus on perhaps the year that passed, and maybe even focus on the year that comes. And so what I thought today that I do is give you a couple of focus points, little thoughts, maybe Kabbalah meditations that you could think about during this time, and bring yourself into a state of growth, movement forward, and a feeling that's good, and bringing on the new year with joy. For most of us, other people define who we are. And we, the individual who other people have defined who we are left to fill in the details. That's to say that for the most part, other people choose the context of our life, and we choose the content. The context can be thought of as who we are, and our content can then be thought of as what or how we are. For instance, you create a reality for yourself based on a certain belief system of who you are, and or more likely who you think you are supposed to be. For example, I am this kind of person and I do these certain things and I don't do these things. So most of the choices that you make in your life possibly are selecting specific content from within the context of an externally imposed identity construct. You're just reacting to someone else's decision of how they think you should be or who you are. So let's say parents, siblings, educators, they've constantly told you, you are not so smart. You are not such a good person. So what happens? Over the course of your life, you start thinking and believing these statements. You actually become the statements that others define you as. And then you make choices based on that definition. You say, I'm not so smart. Maybe it's true. Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not such a good person. The result is that you don't strive to act appropriately or grow or expand, because their words become almost self-fulfilling prophets or self-fulfilling prophecies. They said it, and then you become it. Are you really it? No. It actually may have nothing to do with you. But because someone said it, and because you decided that their words matter, maybe even their words matter more than your own words matter, based on your decision, your choice, or lack of choice, their words become true. From a psychological perspective, we have the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. So often in our lives, we live in accordance with the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight. We just want to be or try to be. What ends up happening as a result of that is we're constantly in this motion of reacting. Somebody said something, destroyed my day. I can't do anything about it. I can't. How could they say that? I got to call this person. I got to try to figure it out. Meanwhile, maybe they were even saying it in jest. Maybe they were saying it to so to speak, and I hate this term, kill time, whatever that means. But in essence, you had to change the course and the nature of your day based on the words that someone else said. You became reactive. We have the ability to take a step back, to breathe, and say, no, you are not the author of my life. My mood, my experience, what I do and how I do it will not be defined by you. It will be defined by my proactive ability to make the choices. You have the ability to create a life and identity for yourself. In that life and identity, you are empowered to choose both your context and your content. And in this way, you can decide who you really are. And then you fill the content from that place. Oh, but what about that person who said that thing? Oh, what about that maybe they're right. If you want them to be right, they'll be right. If you want them to be wrong, they'll be wrong. That's your choice. Cheryl.
Thank you. I have two things before you go on that are perfect examples of this. And I don't know if it's a time, age, experiential thing, but I will give you one example, who is my daughter-in-law, who is Hispanic, and mom told her from a very young age she was too dark. She didn't like her being in the family, blah, blah, blah. She couldn't wait to marry her off, and then went to an abusive, a physically and emotionally abusive marriage. And this girl's always been pushed down. So, and she's not real well educated. She has a high school education, but she's not real well educated. And I don't know if what you're saying comes from, it really has to come from within, but I think it's an experiential and a learned experience. So she has this low self-esteem, and as a result, pass that down to her children, my grandchildren. So they don't feel all that confident about themselves either. So to your point about how others affect your trajectory, I think it's really important. Getting that inner strength is one thing. Second example is I went through the same thing. I had been married 2 times to men that I felt I wanted to fit into their lifestyle so that I could be that person and be the wife. And it wasn't me, it wasn't the authentic me. And as embarrassing as this is, when I decided that I wanted to be the real me, somehow I met Bruce. And so we've been together 25 years. So it took me 3 times to build up my confidence to allow myself to fill my content and be myself and have somebody accept me for me. And I know exactly what you're saying, but does that come with time and learning and experience? Or is that just innate that you crawl out of what people want you to be or say what you are?
Thank you. Thank you for your bravery and for sharing. I wonder. I'm saying I wonder because I don't know if it's true. I don't even know if it's possible. But imagine if you turned back 40 years and you were sitting at this class 40 years ago. Now, you may not have had the kelim, as we say in Hebrew, the vessel to be able to handle this information.
Right.
You may not have been able to. You may have had to go through the experience because that's the only way you could handle this. But let's say you were the Cheryl you are today, where you were open and loving and exciting and all these elements, and you sat at this class. Would you have been able to avoid those, and I'm not going to call them mistakes, but those life lessons that you had to live? You know, sometimes there are 2 types of people, and there are many types of people, but there are 2 types of people. The people who, if you tell them, look both ways before you cross the street, they do. And the others who have to get hit by the car. And then they remember. So do you have to live all of life's lessons in order to know the right choices to make? And I'm asking this almost rhetorically and also not rhetorically at the same time.
I would say yes, to a degree. All of us sitting here, obviously, we're here because we want to learn. We want to be better people. We want the Kabbalistic aspect of loving and kindness and purpose and all of that. I don't think I was ready at 40 or 40 years ago, for sure. I'm ready now. I think it's a readiness thing. I don't know, anybody else chime in? Confirm or not confirm how they feel about being here?
Thank you so much for sharing, Cheryl. That was really beautiful and brave. I guess I think about it as this journey to authenticity, right? Being our authentic selves. And it's so easy to get pulled in all these different directions and to listen to all of the modeling, the context. and to allow all of that context to just situate ourselves in it and say, okay, I can make this work. I can work with this, but we're so boxed in. And I don't know if it's how, I think we all have this real self, this real voice, this real sense of who we really are within us. And sometimes it's loud and strong right from the get-go. And sometimes we're 40 years in. I was in my early 40s. I had to leave a PhD program saying, you know what, this isn't quite it for me. I left with my master's. I'd already successfully proposed my dissertation and everything. And I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't quite it. This isn't it. And I have to stop saying, yes, I can do that. Yes, I can make that work. And I have to just tune into my voice. And I think we all do that at different ages and stages. And I'm not sure, I'm trying to find the secret ingredient to what is it that makes it easier. You know, you add a little bit of saffron, a little dash of, this, and all of a sudden it's, straightforward for folks to tap into their most authentic self and to start living who and what they really are. I don't know what the difference is, but it's a beautiful
Thank
thing
you.
that happens, right?
Yeah.
It's the best. Yeah. Life changes, everything opens up.
And it's different for each person. Obviously, there's no set time or day or
Right.
age. You need to figure that out. But not everybody wants to. They just keep going in their path because that's where they are. And
it's just where they are. And it wouldn't matter what you said, and it wouldn't matter what you did and how much you shook and said, why don't you see? Because they're just not there yet. And
maybe the one thing that I would say to those people is that's a choice. That's a choice. You can keep on doing that. You can continue the PhD. There's no problem with it. It's wonderful, but that's a choice. You cannot. You can be in this class. It's wonderful. That's a choice. You can press the button and leave this class. That's a choice. Just the ability to be in control of our own choices and not be passive about them.
Like to recognize that everything is a choice, that each moment that we really are making a choice, even if we think we're just continuing along, it's still a choice.
Yes.
And when you present it to yourself as a choice, it helps you to get everything out on the table and say, okay, what all is going on here that I'm working with to make this choice rather than just continuing along.
You don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. Today, as I sit here talking to you, it is one of my busiest days of the year. I could have so easily said, and nobody would have said anything, negative about the fact you're a rabbi. It's the day before Rosh Hashana. I get it. It's okay. We'll pick it up next week or in 2 weeks. But I made a choice to be here. Why? Because I mean, I could say in Jewish law, there's a term, a beautiful term called tadir she'ena tadir kodem. Whatever happens more often is more important. Okay. It's something to think because we're always looking for something new. We're always looking for something that's going to be fresh and exciting. But actually, the routine is the most important in Judaism. There's a big debate. Right? For example, we have it this year. We have Rosh Hashana is falling out on Shabbat. Shabbat happens every week. Rosh Hashana happens once a year. What's more important, the Rosh Hashana or the Shabbat? It sounds like, well, obviously, one or the other, but it's actually a very powerful question. And someone would say, well, Rosh Hashana, obviously it's once a year. Shabbat happens every week. Jewish law says no. What happens more often is more important. Now translate that into your life. We're always looking and seeking and trying to find something new and fresh. because we think that's going to make life more adventurous or exciting or more wonderful. The routine, what happens all the time, that's more important. As busy as you are, then going back to choice, it's still all of our choices. As busy as we are, it's our choices to be here.
Can I chime in?
Please, Rima.
Thank you.
So to me, it depends on the circumstances, your environment, and a lot of times parents do the best they can, depending how they grew up and what trauma they went through. And they do the best they can. They mean well, but it's not good for the kid. And it takes years of soul searching to change your thinking. It takes a lot of effort and good luck to come, into this class and learn so much about it. So it all depends, because I grew up in former Soviet Union, and believe me, life was very different. No, very few people have opportunity to soul search there. It's just the basic. You're looking to survive. It's survival mode, especially for our parents. So to their defense, I would say they do the best they can. And it's up to us to grow and experience life and try to make sense of it.
Thank you for reminding us that we live with the silver spoon of choice.
Oh,
It's so important. Sometimes for some of us who grew up in a world that's free, a world of choices, we forget sometimes that we live with the privilege of choice.
thank you.
Kelsey.
Thank you. So, if I'm recalling correctly, the godly soul is in the brain,
Mm-hmm.
and the animal soul is in the heart.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been wanting to ask you this question for a while now, but the fight or flight system is within the brain, and everything we're talking about, the choices, the routine, all of that goes back to safety. And with what I do with helping people relieve their stress, it's all working on the fight or flight. And so any limiting beliefs, anything someone tells us, our self-worth, all those thoughts that we have to, choose to dress ourselves with, all relate to the fight or flight and, how stressed out we are. And so I'm hoping, because I believe that God is in with everything. And so how does the fight or flight is in the brain, but it seems to come from the animal soul. And so how does this relate to Kabbalah and the godly soul being within the brain?
Kelsey, that's a fantastic question. You really set me up here, because this is exactly one of the major ideas I'm going to talk about in my Kabbalah of mental health that I'm working on.
I'm so excited.
It's not a 30-second answer.
Okay.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited because it's exactly where the kind of ideas that I want to talk about. What I'll tell you is the sympathetic nervous system is a nervous system, not necessarily in the brain. Could also be in other elements and parts of the person.
Okay.
But we'll get into that. And what I'm really, really excited about doing is kind of taking psychology, science, and kind of blending it into and creating not necessarily a differentiation, but a connection between the science that we know and the Kabbalah that maybe we should know.
Perfect. When can we look forward to hearing about this?
I'm hoping I just need I just need maybe if somebody can arrange like 28 hours in the day. Is that, I mean, if you can arrange for me. That's all I
Done.
need, really. I'm not asking for too much. I just need like maybe 2.5 more hours of a day. You know what? Let's do 26.5 hours for a day. Because I don't need 50 hours in a day. Just a few more hours and I could get it done. So it's a little slower than I expected planning it, but it's going to be ready soon. I just want it to be formulated enough because it's something that's uncharted territory. I want to make sure it's formulated enough that that I can really speak from a place of confidence.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I want to get into just one practical element of all this today. Transformation. If there's one element of Rosh Hashanah that we could embrace, is the ability to take a moment to stop, to breathe, and say, I could do it on February 3rd, but I can do it today. Why do I want to do it today? I want to do it today because something very special is happening. According to Kabbalah, we call it an itaruta de le'ela, an awakening from above. God gives us an extra boost during this time. It starts tomorrow night, and it's going to go for 10 days. There's an awakening from above, which means if you want to make a transformation in your life, this is the best time to do it. Because if you put in your little finger, God returns with 5 hands. It's that powerful, tapping into that. What is transformation? What is wanted from us this time? Genuine transformation is about redirecting your consciousness. Seen in a certain way, it's really not a long, drawn-out process. It can actually occur in a single moment. That moment is a sudden shift of consciousness. Instead of thinking of yourself as one way and struggling in or against that way, just think of yourself as being completely different. Perceive yourself as being totally beyond and above your problems. It's much more psychologically productive to see yourself as a perfect person and aspire to live up to that image than to see yourself as a negative person and perpetually struggle with the image of your own negativity. Now, you're probably saying, this is way too simplistic. This is way too obvious. But deep down, each of us knows what this means. We all have our moments when we feel the most alive, when we feel the most real, the most true to ourselves, when we're able to recognize our untainted inner perfection. Imagine that powerful person is who you really are at all times. Imagine if you could make your choices based on that perspective. When you lose your connection to this reality inside yourself, right now you have the opportunity to take a deep breath, to redirect your energy, to redirect your awareness, and just manifest the real you. you'll find a lot of things that bother you when you're in a narrow place. We call it Meitzar Garim, the place of constricted consciousness. You'll find that those things that bother you when you're in a place of constricted consciousness will stop bothering you when you're able to access a more expansive place within yourself. During that moment, and I'm not saying this is black and white, this is fluid. During that moment, you're no longer full of anger. You're no longer full of jealousy. You're no longer full of resentments. All of the sudden, you're beyond the minutia of petty concerns. You're larger than the story that maybe is attached to your temporary suffering. That's the choice that you can make. Are you going to buy into the higher, the more expansive story? Or are you going to buy into the constricted story? This is the shift. How do you do it? You do it by believing that I really am a better person, that I am more than my momentary emotions and lapses of larger perspective. I am free. And Rima reminded us that we're privileged to be free. But I am free to choose my own path. And I'm responsible. It's not my right. It's my responsibility. I am responsible for creating my own reality, for creating my own identity. The best thing that we can do is visualize ourselves above our problems. To visualize ourselves as the most perfect, as the most elevated, as the most open person in the world. To visualize ourselves as that person and then make the choice from that place. Create this higher, this expansive context for your life, and all the details, all the contents will be filled in accordingly. Shift, and it can happen in one moment. It's just a shift of consciousness. It's true that maybe your mother told you that you weren't good enough. Maybe the world told you weren't good enough. Maybe your teacher told you weren't good enough. Maybe the world has been not so nice to you. But now we're adults. We're not children anymore. I'm sorry, Freud. I know there's a subconscious inner child, but I'm above that. I'm an adult, and I get to make my own choices. I can live my life based on my inner child, based on the trauma. I can live my life based on those difficulties, or I can rise above it. Question, if we're trying to improve on a deeper level, should we examine our heart because God examines the heart? Or should we visualize to change our thoughts? What's first? Thoughts first. Thoughts create emotions, according to Kabbalah. Focus on the thought. Instead of allowing your emotions to drive your thoughts, allow your thoughts to drive your emotions. Start from the thinking process, and your emotions will follow. The emotions, they're like little kids. The thought, the mind, that's a mature adult. We're not suppressing the emotions. We're just starting with thought. And we're allowing the thought to maybe hone the emotions or focus the emotions. Imagine the thought is the steering wheel. And the emotions are the emotions are the driver or the driving or the car. You're just steering it. That's all you're doing.
Hi, Rabbi.
Yeah. Hi.
I wanted to share, at least express my opinion on this. I don't think your thoughts, this answers Kelsey's questions. I don't think your thoughts are who you are. And they can create emotion, sure, but you can observe your own thought. The fact that you can observe your own thoughts, you're beyond your own thinking.
Yeah. According to Kabbalah, our thoughts are one of the garments of our souls. So they're definitely not who we are. Definitely not who we are.
I just wanted to answer. I hope that answers the question a bit. I mean, I'm sure you're going to answer it more thoroughly. But.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. With that, or why don't you start the reflections? What are your what's your golden nugget today? And then you can pass it on.
Everyone, I think bravery. I mean, one thing that I think is important is to realize life's, you know, that Hebrew song, like it's a very narrow bridge that our thoughts. I've noticed of people who are really themselves and them really in tune with they're very instinctual. Like it's common to people in the professions of mechanics, you know, they like to work with their hands and do things. I don't know why I was thinking about this, but I just wanted to share that it's a combination of your heart, gut, and your mind, and you know, that self-compassion and just, you know, instinctually knowing that you're good and you want to do good things in this world. Okay, Kate?
Today was a nugget. Everything was a nugget. It was this was so one of my personal focus my personal focus for a very long time, but now that I've left the PhD program, I get to focus on it more so in the way that I want to, is on identity and the development of our consciousness. And so today was a gift. And I was grateful for everything that we talked about today. I think particularly salient was just this idea, like central was this idea of it's a choice, you know, and the opportunity in terms of that self-realization and what is it that, you know, can kind of transform just continuing to go on day after day after day to that moment of deciding, you know, who am I? Who do I want to be? What's my content? You know, what's my context and my content? How do I want to author my own life? And, you know, recognizing that it's a choice, and also within that choice is a privilege and an honor, that we're able to make that choice. That's a real privilege, and it's a byproduct of our abundance, and that we, you know, can be very grateful for that, extremely grateful for that. And so, yeah, I was really grateful for today. Cheryl.
Thanks so much, Kate. I love your insight. I'm so glad you're in this class.
I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you so much to everyone.
Even though we're so off topic of the afterlife, I don't know why I thought, Rabbi, you were going to kind of bring something with Rosh Hashanah and our loved ones into the fold here, but that's okay. I agree with you, Kate. This whole class was a nugget, truly. Not necessarily eye-opening, but thought-provoking. And I guess my little nugget was so interesting. I don't know, to me, where you said routine is more important, and I'm going to use my own words here, than the next shiny object. And I think about that in a marriage, only because I've done it more than once. And the routine of whatever it takes, the give and take and the sharing and the caring for each other is so much more important than finding. I had the hunkiest young male nurse in the hospital that I was embarrassed for him to put leads on me for, different things in the hospital. And Bruce goes, I would think you would love that. And I go, no, I'm a modest old lady. I like the routine. I know you, I like you. So I don't know why that kind of hit me about the routine being more important than, the next new thing. Anyway, I took that very literally. Sorry. Okay. First of all, Happy New Year. Happy, healthy New Year to everybody. And Chava, I have not heard from you in a while.
Thank you, Cheryl. I love that story. The hunky nurse. That's so great. Rabbi, thank you so much for being here. I can't really imagine what pressure. Well, I guess pressure would be a choice, but I know you have a lot of obligations that you choose, and I really appreciate you taking the time today. And my nugget is, it's really similar to Cheryl, what you just shared about, what we do the most often is actually the most sacred. And I think for me, the message in that is really being present. Like, where am I when I am doing the things that take up the most hefty portion of my life? And if those are the things I'm doing the most often, shouldn't those be the places where I am really focusing on being present and putting my whole self there? And I'm really glad I'm just learning how to make challah, because I'll tell you, in order to make challah, I have to have every ounce of my consciousness in what I'm doing, or hilarious things come out of the oven. So that's really helpful. Anyway, thank you again. And Happy New Year to everybody. Alana.
Thank you so much. And I'm very lucky because my daughter makes all the halot for us. So I don't have to be worried about that. But today was a great morning. And I think the fact that we are all here and learning and studying and growing together is so much a part of the transformation and just being aware and conscious. And so much of what we talk about brings to mind like modern psychology. So the more I study Kabbalah, the more I think that all the psychology I studied really has roots in Judaism, cognitive behavioral therapy and so many different therapies. So interesting. And I love being with all of you and growing together. So thank you. Shana Tova. May we all have a year of goodness and growth together. Okay, I'll pass it to Maor. Or he went already, right? MJ.
Shana Tova also to everyone, and thank you, Elena. Go ahead, pass it to
MJ.
Oh, thank you. Hi, everyone. Wow, it's been a minute. I just want to say that I'm glad to be here. And honestly, I missed all of you, all this space actually, and the learning process. Today, somebody said it really well. Today is a whole nugget. Everything from what Rabbi was saying and what everybody was saying either question, comment, and whatnot. They were amazing. I have to revisit the video to re-listen again and write. But one of the sentences that I loved was, "We have the privilege to choose," and that really stuck with me a lot. With everything that the rabbi said, this to choose, and then to choose to see yourself at best, then worse to become, and it will be the better way. So I really, really, what's the word? Yeah, that was it for me. It was it for me. It was amazing. Rabbi was amazing. Rabbi was amazing. It was just amazing. I was very touched by everything, and it was really good. I don't know who to pass it to.
There's Marianne.
Marianne, there you go.
Hi, everybody. And first of all, thank you for everything, for the sharings today, to Rabbi Bernard, Shana Tova to everybody. And two things, like a lot of you, I loved this thing, what happens more often is more important. And I love my routine. So, and there is one thing that I took a step back from Judaism for just a long time, but I realized that Judaism and God never gave up on me. So this is my thought for today and for Rosh Hashanah. Thank you very much to everybody, especially to Rabbi. And I pass it to Jill.
Thank you. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful class about choice, that we have the choice and we have the ability to change. And that is something I ask myself all the time, especially when I have maybe backslid into a behavior that I am not proud of. And so to challenge myself to not get stuck in something I might have said yesterday and therefore keeping me there. But that is always the question for me. Can I really change? Do people really change? So this class has given me much, much hope. Rima, I really appreciate your perspective, and that I have the privilege of choice and that I can choose to change. And that these 10 days are incredibly powerful. I'm finding in all of our classes, these cycles that we have, a Lul that we're just ending, it's helping us. It's the guidelines for life. And I just never realized that they were there. So I'm really excited to be able to use them. So thank you so much. And Kelsey.
Thank you, Jill. MJ, what a class to come back on. Thank you, Rabbi, for
Exactly
to be here. I've needed this class for several weeks now. So several nuggets, the whole class again. But I think what really stood out to me that I really needed to hear today is that my pinky is enough. And so thank you for that. I'm on my phone. So has everyone? Julian, you have not gone.
Julian, Mom.
Thank you. So I heard the rabbi say that your thoughts are not you. And I was wondering if two people get married because on the basis of their thoughts, in other words, they seem compatible on the thought level or that plane or that dimension of things, does that mean it could be not the right match or bad match?
Julian, the world would be a much better place if people just got married based on the thought level.
Oh.
Usually doesn't happen. Yeah. We have Rima and Mom left.
So it's okay then?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, I think you said you had. Well, I misread that maybe it had to be deeper. Had to be
No,
deeper.
it's not any deeper.
Thank you. Thank you.
Rima, you want to go next since you've been the star of today's performance?
Star, never been a star. Hi. Going in this new year, this class is wonderful. The whole idea of thoughts creating emotions. Just need to put a big banner on my computer at work. So to see that, trying to control thoughts, super important. I'm very grateful for this class. Very grateful for everybody's input. My Judaism was very important to me, and I'm like, feel like a white sheep here that I didn't know what a Sukkot is. And this year we actually, we're getting our own sukkah. I'm super excited about it. And I didn't know a lot of things, but I always knew I'm a Jew because, you know, the anti-Semitism and all this things that happen. So very fortunate to be part of this class. Very grateful to everybody. I'm learning from everybody. And Rabbi, you're just wonderful. There's so much wisdom in this class. I wish everyone a great new year and to be inscribed in a good book of life. Have all the health and successes. All the best.
I think mom is last for today.
Oh no, mom is last. Uh-oh, better have something good. I have a few nuggets. This was a very timely class. The fact that it's New Year, it's this whole group, the thoughts expressed today were really provoking to me because just the next 10 days are very, very important, just not just for me, but they are for me and just I think for the world in general. So thank you, Rabbi, for giving us this direction today. I think it's really critical right now. And a nugget for Cheryl, you look fantastic. And yeah, keep those orderlies away from you as you can.
He was a nurse. He was a nurse.
Okay.
And a football player. 6'5" and
hunky.
Still,
okay.
yeah.
And Hava, the fact that you're doing the Hala, that's a huge nugget for me. And so thank you for that. That's going to play well. That's going to play well for me. But thank you so much to everybody. I think everyone here is so thoughtful and brings so many really interesting perspectives, even though they're kind of all, sometimes they seem all maybe different, but they're really kind of joined together. And it's a great privilege to be in this class. So happy New Year to all. And Rabbi, if you'd like an extra hour or two, I will loan you the hours from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m.
Thank you. Thank you. That's great. Very,
and that's everyone, right?
I think so. Well, first of all, a very Shana Tova, and we say Shana Tova Umituka. Interesting that is the word. It means have a good and a sweet New Year. Sweet is the funny thing about sweet is that it's not based on your opinion. Sweet is sweet. It's not subjective. Sweet is objective. So may it be a year that is objectively sweet. That you can see it, those around you can see it. And for those of you who will be joining me in person, I have a lot that I'm planning for my sermons and otherwise, and discussions on Rosh Hashanah. For those of you who are not joining me in person, I will try to write them. I know in the past I've been able to write them and send them to you. I will try to do that for those of you who won't be here in person. And with that, I wish you a very happy going into 5784, and I will see you next year.
Rabbi, sorry, one quick thing. I wanted to share and was wondering what your opinion was. That when I viewed, like, this is based on last class, but we're talking about Netzach and Hod a bit.
Mhm.
That the apple is sort of Netzach and the Vash is Hod.
I have to think about that.
Yeah, please do.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that thought.
Okay, thank you everyone again, and Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. Thank you.
Shana
Shana
Tova.
Tova.
Shana
תודה.
Tova.
בשבוע הבא.